So here we are, we're leaving Los Alamos now. A little bit of cloudy action going on in the skies. Lots of pretty blue happening. No mist anymore. Sad days, but we'll see how it goes. It's supposed to be misty and gross and snowy, or no, weather, all weathery. Is that even a real word? All weathery, all week long, so hopefully there'll be some more. See the Los Alamos airport here on your left. It is gorgeous up here. We missed part of the mountains as we were passing through, but now we get to head down. This is honestly one of my, it's one of my favorite roads in that it's extremely beautiful, but it's one of my least favorite roads to traverse in all of New Mexico. Mostly because, like, if you saw the first part of this video, I told the story about how first time I ever drove a bobtail truck was from this hill all the way down to Albuquerque, starting up here. So it was hair-raising, white-knuckle ride, and what was at the time a construction road. This is now, it's been completed for 10 years now, and it's in beautiful shape. So let's just go for the ride and see what we find. Like every good roller coaster, it starts off very nice and mellow. Not a whole lot happening. Nice little MR2. Guard tower. Los Alamos Project main gate. A piece of history. Back when the entire town was owned by the Department of Energy. Oh wait, just kidding, it still is. Line of cars all behind me. Across Santa Fe County. Pretty sure they only changed it to Los Alamos County just to help more easily regulate traffic and stuff back when the World War II was happening. Alright, here we go. Close now. See here in a second why this is a road I'm not too thrilled about driving quick on. Look at that open up on the left there. Holy fuck me. Miles an hour. Fuck, it's so stressful. Oh, you can see somebody ran into that right there. Oh, fuck. I bet this would be a great road to drift down. That. Doing my best to keep doing 25, but not a roll on. Hour 45. Nice. God. I mean, when I drove this the first time, I was probably like 19 years old. I was still a kid. And that shit was terrifying. That whole section right there felt like it took forever. It's the end of the world. Fly off the cliff and die. Oh no! I'm so glad that was not the case. But I guess afterwards, it was a few years after I had driven this piece of road that I went up through Colorado on the western side. There's a pass that goes along the mountains there. That is, I shit you not, probably about 1,000-foot drop on the one side, and 1,000 feet straight up on the other side along this mountain. I forget the name, but it's a very, very famous mountain range. I want to say San Juan, but I think that's wrong. I think I'm mistaken. But anyways, beautiful red rock cliffs on both sides, top and bottom. Just absolutely gorgeous. It's so weird because the tops of those mesas almost look like they were chopped off. You know what I mean? Just to make them so you couldn't climb onto them. Almost like buttresses on a castle. And all of them are like that, just from collapsing. Wow. Back down to 40. 20 miles an hour down a hill, we're rolling fucking steaming balls down. Tell one, Mark. Oh, tell what marketing fuel, excuse me. Everywhere in New Mexico looks painted. Probably why Georgia O'Keeffe, set up shop out here. Did all of her paintings and stuff. She's up here in this Taos area, anyways. I wonder about it though. I suppose Georgia O'Keeffe could have been working for the government. A lot of people were at that time. She could have been a scout. I know a lot of landscape painters and things like that historically have been intelligence gathering assets. Most on account of if you can go to a place and remember well enough to paint pictures of it and do detail like that. That's a useful skill. Then again, I'm not much of a painter or anything else, and this even inspires me to like, shit, it's amazing. Great big cliff faces. As a kid, I used to spend a lot of time in the car driving around the whole state, and I really took it for granted. All of the beautiful mountains and stone that we have all around us. Now I've been working in it. It's really kind of opened my eyes a bit to like all the work that has to go in to get things done in that. Even carving roads out of mountains and stuff like that. It's a humongous endeavor. Most of this is probably done with dynamite and stuff, just explosive, blow chunks up. But the vast majority of human history, all stonework has been done by hand. People grabbing stuff and moving it, pulleys and levers, whatever it takes to get it off the damn roadway. So you have a clear pathway. No parking within 10 feet of pavement? Oh, because there's the river right that we just passed. Like, why would you just park off the highway? Man, I love that we're back on the flatland now. So much better. San Ildefonso. That was the other part that made this very well protected place back in the day. Is unfortunately for a lot of Native Americans, they got a lot of really bad press throughout the 1860s to 1950s. And so the idea that you go out in the West and get scalped by fierce, savage natives, really kind of kept people away from such beautiful land, such beautiful area. It was really, I almost feel like the U.S. government perpetuated a lot of the myth just to keep people away from here, because I've known lots of natives my whole life, and from all kinds of different tribes. They're some of the most wonderful people you'll ever meet. Incredible food, great jokes and humor, just lovely folk. You fuck with them, they will fuck your shit up though. Don't even get that twisted. But, extremely hospitable people. Just like anybody, don't go into somebody's house and start disrespecting them unless you want to get slapped around. That's just I feel like that's a rule of humanity or something. It's one of those things you kind of figure out, Show up to somebody's pad and start messing shit up. Not expecting to not get your ass kicked. But by keeping it in such a hidden away stashed area, and I guess probably one of the bigger things about it, being completely honest, natives are some of the most ferocious warriors on the planet. You do not want to fuck with them. Like I said, don't disrespect anybody in their home, but especially don't be coming out here on the reservation starting some shit. You will get your attitude checked real quick. And it very well could have been the U.S. government was hedging their bets on that they would protect the nuclear secrets kept at Los Alamos. More or less, I think it's just, don't mess with my shit and just leave me alone. Like I said, you put enough propaganda and enough bad press on something, and people will make their own mind up about things. Like I said, if people around knew how beautiful it was out here and everything, of course it is dangerous, of course it's perilous, there's a million ways to die out here, la la la. Worth it. Totally worth it. I think Los Alamos is surrounded by it. You've got Taos, you've got Powake, you've got San Ildefonso, you've got Okeowenge over by Espanola. Absolutely surrounded by reservations. And one thing that's fascinating about them is that they're considered federal land. They're not. It's not like you're not in the United States of America anymore. You're on the reservation, whichever reservation it is. And while you still have to comply with all federal laws and whatever else with that, they can, federal government can also do whatever they want with you. A lot of empty spot, no one will ever find you. It's absolutely terrifying. But it's interesting to see how much that the city has changed. And like I said, I haven't been up here in 12 years or so. It's been a long time. It's a lot more, a little bit more user friendly than it used to be. Which I imagine is a good thing. Like I said, New Mexico has a tendency to be very inhospitable. So, you're in a terribly inhospitable place, but it is beautiful. And I think Los Alamos people really enjoy it because, especially like in northern New Mexico, there's lots of skiing, lots of kind of like winter sports and stuff. So it ended up being kind of a nice place for a lot of like the German immigrants and people that were collected during World War II to be able to find a home that's similar to where they came from. And I feel like there's a huge, always been a huge German population out here. And like I said, going back to like probably the 1830s even. Between you had the German, the Irish, you had some English that ran out here for their life. Lots of Greeks, ironically. For some reason, I still haven't figured out what the hell happened, why there was such an influx of Greeks, but it's literally where the word gringo comes from the word greco, which was, like, generally considered an offensive term for, like, white people, like, by Spaniards. Mexicans would say that. And, like I said, I don't know exactly the whole history of it, but there was a huge influx of Greeks that came in during the Spanish invasions. And it could have been a lot of that. Like, for instance, we had a lot of Hessians that were Germans that came with the Spanish that invaded. And a lot of them were mercenaries. So they were just, getting paid and cruising along with the Spaniards just to mess some shit up and make some bread. So I imagine it was the same thing with the Greeks. And they could very well have been mercenaries as well, or cooks, or who knows what. It takes all kinds of people to invade a whole continent, so. But they had this whole influx of all these different people from all around the world that showed up and making their homes in all different parts of the state for all kind of different reasons. Some of the first villages that were established by freed slaves from the American Civil War were established in southern New Mexico. Like near Magdalena and stuff where we were. We shot that one video that one time. And like we had Blackton that was down there. There was a couple of them that were very, very large cities. Full on thriving metropolises that were eventually depopulated, for lack of a better term. And a lot of people, like in the case of Blackton, they took off to Arizona. I think it was Tucson area. And what ended up becoming, what was eventually Black Wall Street, all that. Then eventually from there moving into California and stuff. Wild history of migration through this whole state, especially over the last like 200 years. A wild amount of it. But this whole area has been people that were refugees in one form or another, or running from the plagues, or you're going to be beheaded by the fucking Catholics, whatever. So you had to run for safety. So you find yourself in the most inhospitable place possible. Set up home. And it's wild because different parts of New Mexico has saved different one of their peoples multiple different times. The Yakima and the Laguna Pueblos just to the west of Albuquerque. Yakima in particular was called Sky City. And so they actually built their entire civilization, well, at least this one establishment of it, on top of this whole hill. Actually hollowed it out and built a whole town up there. And it's extremely difficult to access. Now they have a road and an elevator and all kinds of shit. But back in the day, if you were trying to invade Yakima, you had a full uphill journey, fighting against opponents who were above you on the hillside, basically in a giant stone castle you know, mess your shit up. But that mountain saved them. It preserved them. It kept them safe. I think if I remember right, there's a story somewhere about when the world flooded that they hid inside. The Yakima hid inside of the mountain. I forget what it's called. It's the Sky City Mountain. And they were able to hide inside of there and keep themselves protected, and they kind of kept it up. They still live there. A really bitchin' casino at the bottom of it. More importantly, they're in have some wild hills and mountains out there. Just crazy stuff. We haven't been out there yet for one of these jobs. We'll have to take a cruise out there just to film the trip. Because it is lovely. I talk a lot of shit about Western New Mexico, but it is actually absolutely gorgeous. Just a full-on arid paradise. Especially closer you get to Arizona, I feel like the biodiversity goes up. Because there's a huge altitude change that happens also. It's like Albuquerque is like 5,200 feet above sea level or something like that. Then you get to like Tucson and shit like that, and you're down at like 1,000 to 3,000 above sea level. So you end up with a lot more moisture in the atmosphere that kind of sticks down, and you get a lot more plant life, a lot more animals. So it's a little bit more forgiving. Whereas up here, we generally don't have that luxury. Less oxygen, less water, less food. That's all that stuff. We still get along. Get along, little doggies, like God says. Man, that top-down light's intense. Makes those clouds look so deep. Dude, I'm doing 70 miles an hour at a fucking 65. What the hell are you people doing? I swear, some people's children. Yeah. This highway's great. It's one of the first real developed highways I ever drove on in the state. From coming to work in Los Alamos, as a matter of fact. Back in the day, you had the 599, which is the Santa Fe bypass, and then you had this one, which is, I believe, Highway 84 that goes to Taos. And they were the only two that were really rebuilt. I mean, they were the ones that followed after, I guess, the Big I project in the late 90s. There's Camel Rock on the right. You can see the itty bitty baby Camel Rock. I can never get the camera to point at it right, but I promise you it's there. Like right there. I can't even point at it on the camera. But it's there. Back when I was a kid, Camel Rock Casino used to run commercials absolutely constantly. Trying to get people to come up here and play and hang out. Enjoy all their nice attractions that they have out here. I guess now it's not Camel Rock Casino anymore, it's Camel Rock Studios. They make movies and stuff up here. Which I think is pretty awesome. I'm not going to talk shit about that. They got a full set up there, they got all kind of everything going on up there. But I guess Camel Rock also had a hard time keeping itself going because Camel Rock was a huge deal as a casino until they built Buffalo Thunder, which is a much bigger, much nicer casino. And then Tesuque built their own casino right over there, another one that wasn't affiliated. I mean, I guess Camel Rock could have had a bad reputation back in the day. I guess that would have made sense. That wouldn't be, I guess, unheard of for New Mexico. And Santa Fe put in a lot of work, from the late 2000s into the early 2010s to really kind of scrub up the image and, appeal to a different base. startles me how many people I find in Santa Fe now that are transplants. Not a whole lot of people that actually are from New Mexico or from Santa Fe that live there. At least that I find in my current line of work. Honestly, I don't spend a whole lot of time in Santa Fe just wandering around and talking to people. Santa Fe is lovely though. If you get a chance to go check out the plazas, and then there's a couple of old, well, I guess they'd be cathedrals. I know we really don't have cathedrals per se in New Mexico. We have churches, all kind of iglesias and missions and stuff. I was wondering how much money the Catholic Church spent on all that. Because I know most of what they did was use slave labor. They would, indenture natives or indenture whoever they can get their hands on, basically get them in debt and then make them work. So I imagine most of this was built from that. But also they had Catholics were really good about keeping under their employ some of the best carpenters and stonemasons that were around. Any craftsfolk, really. New Mexico has had some of the best tinsmiths in the whole world for maybe 200 or 300 years. A huge export we used to do for a long time. That's why in a lot of the more artsy towns in New Mexico, you'll find lots of tin artwork that's tapped out, usually with a hammer and a nail, or a hammer and chisel is the most common way to see that. Partially that was nice, I think, because in New Mexico there's a lot of getting around. It's not like you can really forever be established in one spot, so having something made out of a nice metal, brass, tin or something like that, it keeps it nice and lightweight, but also sturdy enough that it'll hold itself together for the trip. Come apart right away. Highway 84 getting into Santa Fe. Still got a little bit of a ride to go. Appreciate you guys coming for another ride, coming and hanging out, enjoying the ride, listening to me rant your ears off. I know most of the time I make these videos, I try to let you guys just enjoy the ride, enjoy the road. But this is also a test. I want to see how well this earbud works for speaking, see how well my voice comes out, see if maybe I can be understood or heard a little bit better from it. I don't know. It's nice to hope. Seems like it works great for phone calls, so I would imagine it would work just fine for video recording. I love how big our sky is out here. I know it's arguably the same sky everywhere you go in the world, but I feel like New Mexico sky is different. We got the kind of skies that most people would look up and be terrified that they're going to fall into it and disappear into forever. Out here, we just call that Tuesday. It is a very real sensation. I never noticed it until I left New Mexico and then came back, and then I get back and I just want to just jump into the sky and give the clouds a great big hug. And it could be because everything in New Mexico feels big. Like there's lots of mountains, there's lots of depth of field, so there's lots of different dynamics that happen as far as the motion in the atmosphere and ambiance. Could have an impact on it. Like even though it's the same sky, we get to see more change in elevation and distance than most people get to see. When I was in California, I swear to God, I could only maybe see at best 5 miles at furthest. And most of that, if you were lucky, you were on the damn beach and you were looking out into the ocean, then you could see for forever and ever. New Mexico seems like it's a larger area that you're able to look at, even though there's less area you can traverse depending. You can see a lot of mountains and stuff like that, but getting to them can sometimes be the trick. I think New Mexico keeps big Skyrim energy. Side this X is going to be on too. Oh, I know generally exits are on the right hand side. Alright, there you go. Oh no, it is a left hand. Lost that bet. Alright, so now we've left the Santa Fe bypass road. Now we're in it. Watch for funeral procession. Oh, because that's a cemetery right there, Arlington National Cemetery. Alright, that about does it for this leg of the journey right now. I don't know if I'm going to tape the journey home because my phone's dying right now. So I think I'll just leave you guys here with this. Until next time. As always, I'm Joshua, but you all know me as Stone. And this has been another episode of Driving with Stone. Make sure if you liked and enjoyed this, that, you hit the like button, you subscribe, and more importantly, that you just tune in and join us next time. Thank you so much, and you have a great rest of your day. Can't wait to see you all again next time.